I've been here, a citizen living in this county for the last 30 years, and I have a question related to a health issue. I know the FCC has ruled out that the low radio frequency doesn't cause any kind of health effects. Myself worked for 30 years at EPA and did the risk assessment of chemicals and several agents. Even this low frequency is supposed to be low frequency, doesn't cause any kind of cancer. I will read, and you can read it yourself. You can go to Google. International Agency for Cancer Research has clearly said that the frequency, not necessarily coming out of cell towers, but likely to cause DNA damage. It's likely to cause cancer, specifically brain cancer, and more specifically in children. I am concerned about the citizens of this county, the little kids that may be exposed to even low frequency or a short-term exposure versus a long-term exposure. I think the county has a responsibility to get the correct ruling on this. Even the FCC is not a health agency. Keep that in mind. Read the FCC is not a health agency. FCC has fought over the EPA. EPA has not ruled into this. I know it. I work for the EPA. Go to the websites of all different federal agencies. There is equivocal data. The data is not clear. However, there are some positive studies and negative studies. I would urge, for the sake of this county's safety and health safety, county has to be responsible for making sure that there are no long-term effects of these frequencies on kids.
Mr. Zines.
Just one point. The FCC is not a health agency, but it is a federal agency. And the problem for the county is that we are preempted. As much as we would like to or not concerned with that problem, we just cannot. The answer lies in changing the law of Congress. We can do lots of things within regulating it, but not on the basis of health.
Okay, let's go to your
My name is David Fialkoff. I live in North Potomac. I just want to briefly first preface this by saying to our council members, to our county employees who are paid by us to represent us, you've got a lot of angry, concerned people here, and the attitude we see from you is, oh, well, it's just business as usual, and there's nothing we can do. Can you please exhibit some concern? Look at the concern here. Look at all the emails you've been getting. Look at the explosion of concern about this. We'd like to see it from you and not this laid-back attitude. Now, my question is, the way this was framed at the beginning of the session tonight was not what I believe to be accurate. This started from a proposal for a zoning change by Crown Castle for its own benefit, for the benefit of its 200 applications, that it doesn't want to be considered individually, just wants to be able to put these things up willy-nilly. And I don't think this has anything to do with, correct me if I'm wrong, is there some proposal to put certain limitations in place? It has to be this many feet from the front of a house, it has to be this, that, and the other thing, or is the only question whether or not you're going to change the zoning law to allow people to put up these poles without any individual hearings?
Mr. Zines.
I mean, it's. I hear the anger. I understand it. I try to get through. I try to. Okay.
Okay. You can. Nothing is a done deal. This is public process. I put something out there for comment. We're not commenting. We've gotten some actually helpful suggestions tonight already with respect to the conditional use process. The question is, should we have any rules at all that contain where these can be located? That's really the question. That's really. Well, we could do nothing, as I said. I said that before. We could do nothing. And maybe we won't do anything.
Allowing them, changing the zoning rules so that they don't have to have individual hearings is doing something.
Well, right, and we don't have to do that. That is correct, sir. You're absolutely correct. These are all really very,
No to that's not doing nothing, it's doing something.
well, but we won't achieve any protection for you, and that is the concern. Well, and that is why we came up with some terms, some restrictions and some limits. Now, maybe that's not enough, and that's okay. Maybe we won't do anything. The question is, do we have put anything in place? Maybe we can continue it as a conditional use. Fine. Will it solve your concerns? I'm not entirely sure. It would give more opportunity for public engagement. Can we manage all these applications? That's the challenge for the county. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But those are all valid concerns, and no one is being ignored here. This is why we're having this conversation. This has been pending for months, and we haven't taken any action. We're listening. We're trying to figure it out. That's all this is. I know people feel to the contrary, and I can't fix that except to tell you genuinely and with concern, we're just trying to figure out a way to protect our community. End of story. That's Sonia. Okay, we can't just say no. And you heard from the staff. That's the challenge. George? Sure. Here's my colleagues.
Okay. Let me just repeat what I said at the beginning of the meeting. The council members would like to protect the community as much as we can, but federal law does preempt county law. Well, you can say it's not true. Friends, if you're just going to scream at us, federal law, sir, okay, sir, as the council president said, we're going to try to have one speaker at a time. We're going to try to be polite. I have the floor for just a moment. Federal law, the Congress is more powerful. The laws that Congress passes preempt what local government can do. That's the way a federal system works. Actually, his staff is here. Congressman Delaney has staff here. Very good. Okay, friends. The council president set this up so that you could all get questions answered and that council members can learn, too, the maximum amount of protection that we can provide for you. That's what we want to do. Mr. Reamer.
Yeah, I just add to that. So my analysis of the situation is that federal law is biased against the concerns of the community. And what we can do is try to negotiate the best outcome that we can in light of that circumstance. If we do nothing, they will proceed through the process that exists and they will get their installations because that's what the FCC has entitled them to. So we have the opportunity now to negotiate a solution that provides some protections. Your question is correct. Where are the protections? We do need protections in here, and I think there is a tender balance where we could get a better system than what they want.
Let's also be clear with respect to Mr. Delaney. Mr. Delaney is a member of the minority party in Congress. Let's be clear who controls the Congress and how laws get passed. Okay, sir. Okay, Sonia, maybe the gentleman would like to have the microphone. Mr. Katz.
I did want to point out that, and I'm not going to repeat everything that's been said, I know everybody else wants to speak, but bottom line is what we've seen are the pictures up there from the commercial areas. And they're not nearly as far as I can tell from people that I've chatted with, that's not nearly the concern of the residential areas. Not to say that there's not health concerns or whatever, regardless of where they are, but is a whole nother story. But I think we need to focus on the residential areas, why you need it there, and why it has to be 30 foot. You know, you've shown on your drawings that there's been changes in technology over the few years that this has been in existence. I'm probably the least handy person you're ever going to meet in your life, but I can tell you that I don't know that there's not better technology that could create what the FCC is requiring of us and not have the same visual impact or other impacts in our residential neighborhoods. And that's what I think we need to focus on.